I've been there scrolling through endless listings of ultra-high refresh rate 4K gaming monitors that look like they belong in a sci-fi showroom, only to end up with a screen that feels flat, sluggish, or just plain under-delivered once it's on your desk. It's frustrating because the specs on paper scream perfection, yet the real-world experience can be a total letdown. If you're on the fence about splurging on a top-tier monitor and want to avoid that disappointment, stick around. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Kuycon Q32S is positioned as a flagship class, 32-inch QD-OLED gaming monitor that promises 4K resolution at a blistering 240Hz, near instantaneous response, and a contrast ratio that sounds more like a cinema than a desktop screen. That combination is tempting, especially if you've been chasing the perfect blend of pixel-perfect detail and buttery smooth motion for competitive shooters or sprawling RPGs. But before you hand over a chunk of your budget, it helps to understand what the monitor actually delivers in day-to-day use and where the hidden trade-offs lie. First off, the QD-OLED panel is the real star of the show. Quantum dot technology on an OLED base gives you the deep black level you normally only see on high-end TVs, while still retaining the vibrant, white gamut colors that a 99% sRGB and 99% DCI-P3 coverage promises. In practice, that means you'll notice a striking difference when you fire up a game with a lot of dark environments, think the shadow-filled corridors of a stealth title or the night skies in an open-world adventure. Blacks look truly black, not just a dark gray, and the burst of color in a sunrise or a neon-lit city feels immediate and lifelike. The 240Hz refresh rate, paired with the advertised 0.03 milliseconds response time, does translate into a tangible reduction in motion blur. I tested it with a fast-paced shooter and the target tracking felt smoother than on my previous 144Hz panel, moving enemies were easier to keep in view, and the overall feel was less stuttery. The monitor also supports fluid motion features that help maintain frame consistency, which is a nice safety net if your GPU can't sustain a perfect 240 frames per second but can hover around 120,150 frames per second. The built-in KVM switch is another practical perk. If you juggle a work laptop and a gaming rig, you can flip control without swapping cables, saving desk real estate and keeping your workflow tidy. Now, let's talk about the practical side of owning a 32-inch 4K screen at 240Hz. The pixel density is high enough that text and UI elements stay crisp, but the sheer amount of pixels means your graphics card has to work overtime. To truly exploit the full 4K/240 experience, you'll need a high-end RTX 4090 class GPU or equivalent. If you're running a 3080 or an older card, you'll quickly find yourself stuck in the 6090 frames per second range, which still looks good but defeats the purpose of a 240Hz panel. In other words, the monitor's value skyrockets if you already own or plan to buy a top-tier GPU, otherwise, it becomes a beautiful paperweight. Another real-world factor is the glossy coating on the panel. The glossy gaming monitor label isn't just marketing fluff, the finish does amplify reflections. In a well-lit room, you'll notice glare from windows or overhead lights, which can be distracting during long sessions. Some users love the shiny look because it makes colors pop, but if you're in a bright office or have a window behind you, you'll need to manage ambient light with curtains or a monitor hood. For most dedicated gaming setups, that's manageable, but it's a trade-off worth considering. Heat management on the Q32S is handled passively with a graphene-infused layer and an efficient cooling design, meaning you won't hear fans whirring while you game. In my testing, the monitor stayed comfortably cool even after a 2-hour marathon, which is a pleasant surprise given the power draw of an OLED panel at 4K and high refresh rates. However, OLED does bring a long-term concern, the potential for burn-in if you leave static UI elements on screen for extended periods. The monitor includes some pixel shift features, but if you frequently have a HUD or a static chat window, you might want to schedule breaks or use software that moves those elements occasionally. Connectivity is solid. You get a suite of high-performance ports, including HDMI 2.1 and DisplayPort 1.4, both capable of handling the full 4K/240 bandwidth. The monitor also supports power delivery, so you can charge a laptop while you game, which tidies up cable clutter. That said, the port layout isn't the most ergonomic. The USB hub is placed on the side, so you'll need to reach for it if you want to plug in peripherals. It's not a deal breaker, but something to note if you prefer a tidy, front-facing port array. Who should buy the Kuycon Q32S? If you're a serious competitive gamer who already has or plans to invest in a flagship GPU, and you crave that extra edge from ultra-smooth motion combined with HDR-grade color fidelity, this monitor is a compelling match. Content creators who need accurate color and high resolution for video editing or 3D